The fishing town of Graymore clung to the coastline like a barnacle, stubborn, weathered, and half dead. Most of its buildings leaned toward the sea, as if yearning to tumble into the waves and be done with it. The cannery had closed 3 years ago, taking half the population with it. Those who remained were either too poor to leave or too stubborn to admit defeat. Anya Thorne belonged to neither category, though no one in town could quite figure out which category she did belong to. She lived in the old lighthouse keeper's cottage at the edge of the breakwater, a salt-stained structure that hadn't seen a working light in decades. Most mornings, she could be found on the rocky beach below, easel planted in the sand, painting watercolors of the sea. Always the sea. Never people. Never buildings. Never the dying town itself. Only water in its infinite shifting moods. The locals called her the artist, with a mixture of pity and suspicion. She was polite when she came to the market, paid in cash, and never stayed for conversation. She walked with a slight limp, favoring her left leg, and always wore long skirts that brushed her ankles even in summer. Some whispered she'd been in an accident. Others said she was hiding something. They were closer to the truth than they knew. Anya herself couldn't have told them what she was hiding. She only knew that water called to her with a voice she couldn't understand, that her dreams were filled with drowning and darkness, and a crushing weight that felt like grief. She knew that the tattoo on her left shoulder, an intricate pattern of swirling lines and curves, shifted with the tides, rearranging itself in ways that should have been impossible. She'd tried to research it once, in the library 2 towns over, spent hours looking through books on tribal markings, maritime symbols, mystical traditions. Nothing matched. The librarian had suggested it might be a custom piece, asked who her tattoo artist was. Anya had no answer. She'd had it as long as she could remember, which wasn't very long at all. Her memories began 5 years ago, waking up on a beach 50 miles north, legs cramping, lungs burning, the taste of salt and blood in her mouth. No ID, no past, no name except the one that felt right when she whispered it to herself. Anya. The doctors called it dissociative amnesia, trauma-induced. They'd kept her for observation, run tests, found nothing physically wrong except for some unusual scarring on her legs, silvery marks that caught the light like fish scales. When no one came looking for her, when no missing person report matched her description, they'd eventually let her go with a referral to a therapist and a social worker who helped her get identification. She'd chosen Graymore because it was quiet, because it was dying, because no one asked questions in a town where everyone was nursing their own wounds. That Tuesday morning in late September, Anya was painting the horizon line where gray sea met gray sky, in an endless negotiation of boundaries. The tide was coming in, and her shoulder itched. It always did when the water rose. She'd learned to read the tattoo like a tide chart, more accurate than any weather app. She didn't hear the footsteps on the rocks behind her until a man's voice said, "Forgive the interruption, but that's extraordinary work." Anya's hand jerked, dragging a line of Prussian blue across her careful gradient. She turned, heart hammering with the instinctive panic that always came when someone approached unexpectedly. The man stood 3 yards away, hands raised in apology. He was tall, somewhere in his 40s, with dark hair going silver at the temples, and eyes the color of deep water. He wore a weathered field jacket over a wool sweater, and carried a leather messenger bag that looked older than he did. "I'm sorry," he said quickly. "I didn't mean to startle you. I'm not used to seeing anyone else out here this early." "It's fine," Anya said, though her voice came out tight. She set down her brush, resisting the urge to cover the painting. "I'm usually alone. I can see why you'd choose this spot." He gestured at the view, the rolling waves, the rocks, the lighthouse. "It's haunting, beautiful and desolate at once." Anya relaxed slightly. At least he was talking about the scenery, not asking personal questions. "Are you visiting Graymore?" In a manner of speaking. He took a cautious step closer, still maintaining distance. "I'm renting a room above the general store. Professor Cale Winters. Marine archaeology and oceanography, though I'm currently between academic appointments." The way he said it, suggested between appointments, was a polite euphemism for something less pleasant. "Anya Thorne," she offered, because it seemed rude not to. "Anya." He smiled, and it transformed his face from severe to almost boyish. "That's a beautiful name. Russian origin, meaning grace or favor." "I wouldn't know," she said, more sharply than intended. An awkward pause. Cale shifted his bag. Well, I should let you get back to your work. I'm just doing some coastal surveys, mapping current patterns. If you see a madman waist-deep in the surf with a bunch of equipment, that'll be me. He turned to go, and Anya felt an unexpected pang. She so rarely talked to anyone. Professor Winters? He looked back. Why Greymore? It's not exactly a hub for marine research. His expression shifted, something hungry and desperate flickering across his features before he could hide it. Because of what's out there. He pointed past the breakers, toward the deep water. The continental shelf drops off about 3 miles offshore, creates some very unusual current patterns. Unusual enough that I think... He stopped himself. Sorry, I tend to ramble about work. Most people find it tedious. I like the ocean, Anya said simply. I paint it every day and never get tired of it. Then perhaps you'd understand. Cale took a few steps back toward her, enthusiasm overcoming his earlier caution. There are anomalies in the seafloor mapping here, geometric formations that don't match any known geological processes. And the current patterns. He pulled a tablet from his bag, swiped through several images of swirling lines and data points. See how they spiral here? That's not natural. Something's disrupting the flow. Something massive and structured. Despite herself, Anya leaned in to look. The patterns on the screen made her head swim with déjà vu. She'd seen something like this before, she was certain. But where? Are you all right? Cale's voice cut through the fog. Fine. Anya straightened, pressing a hand to her temple. Just a headache. Cale was looking at her strangely now, his gaze fixed on her left shoulder, where her loose cotton shirt had slipped down, exposing the edge of her tattoo. May I ask? He hesitated. Your tattoo. Is it a tide pattern? Anya's hand flew to her shoulder, covering it. It's just abstract. No. Kyle's voice had gone intense, almost desperate. He pulled up another image on his tablet, a hand-drawn map covered in swirling lines. This is a chart I've been working on, extrapolating current data backward, trying to map historical patterns. Your tattoo, what I can see of it, it matches. That's impossible. Can I see it? Please. This could be... He stopped himself, visibly trying to calm down. I'm sorry. I know how this sounds, but I've dedicated my life to this research. I've lost everything chasing it. My position at the university, my marriage, my credibility. If there's even a chance... Anya should have said no, should have packed up her easel and walked away. But something in his desperation resonated with her own, the feeling of searching for something just out of reach, of trying to understand a mystery written on her own skin. Slowly, she pulled her shirt down over her left shoulder, exposing the full tattoo. Kyle went very still. He stared at the pattern, the swirling lines and curves, the way they seemed to shimmer slightly in the morning light. Without asking permission, he held his tablet up beside her shoulder, comparing. It's exact, he breathed. Not just similar, exact. These patterns, they correspond to deep water currents that shouldn't be mappable from the surface, currents that flow around the anomaly. Who designed this? I don't know. The admission came out raw. I don't remember getting it. I don't remember anything before 5 years ago. Cale's eyes snapped to hers, wide with something between shock and vindication. Amnesia? The doctors think so. I woke up on a beach with no memory, no identification. This tattoo was already there. Which beach? Does it matter? Everything matters. Cale's hands were shaking slightly as he lowered the tablet. Anya, I don't think that's a tattoo. I think it's a map. And I think you might be the key to proving that everything I've theorized isn't madness. What are you theorizing? He met her eyes, and she saw the weight of obsession there, the kind that consumed people from the inside out. That there's a civilization down there, advanced, ancient, hidden in the deep. That all our myths about Atlantis, about mare people and underwater kingdoms, that they're not myths at all. That there's a whole world beneath the waves that we've forgotten or been made to forget. Anya's breath caught. The words triggered something, a flash of memory, or dream, or imagination. Bioluminescent halls, voices raised in anger, the weight of a crown, exile, betrayal, forget. I have to go, she said abruptly, reaching for her easel. Wait. I'm sorry, Professor Winters, I can't help you. Kyle, he said. Please, just call me Kyle. And I'm not asking you to help. I'm just asking if we could talk. Have coffee. Compare notes. I have years of research that might trigger something, might help you remember. I don't want to remember. The words came out fierce, surprising them both. Cale stepped back, hands raised again in that gesture of surrender. I understand. I'm sorry. But if you change your mind, I'm here for at least a month. The room above the general store. Anya nodded curtly and gathered her supplies, walking away with as much dignity as she could manage, while her heart raced and her shoulder burned with phantom pain. She didn't look back, didn't see Kyle standing on the rocks, staring after her with the expression of a man who'd just found proof of God. That night, Anya dreamed of drowning again. But this time, when she sank beneath the waves, she didn't die. She breathed. She swam. She dove deeper and deeper into darkness until she saw lights below, a city of pearl and coral and living light, vast and impossible and utterly familiar. She woke with salt tears on her cheeks and a single word on her lips: home. Anya avoided the beach for 3 days. She stayed in her cottage, curtains drawn, trying to paint from memory. But every canvas turned into the same thing: dark water, bioluminescent lights, the suggestion of architecture that shouldn't exist. She painted compulsively, frantically, covering canvas after canvas until her small living room looked like a gallery dedicated to an obsession. On the 4th day, someone knocked on her door. She knew who it would be before she opened it. Cale stood on her weathered porch, looking apologetic and determined in equal measure. He wasn't alone. A young woman stood beside him, perhaps 25, with short dark hair and a camera around her neck. Before you close the door, Kyle said quickly, I want to apologize. I came on too strong the other day. I do that. My ex-wife used to say I had 2 modes, obsessed or asleep. He managed a self-deprecating smile. This is my research assistant, Maya Chen. She's been documenting my work, and she's also significantly better at human interaction than I am. Maya extended her hand. He's not wrong. Hi. I promise we're not here to harass you. We're just obsessed, Anya finished, but she shook Maya's hand. I know the feeling. Can we show you something? Cale asked. 5 minutes. If you want us to leave after that, we will, and we won't bother you again. Anya should have said no. Every instinct screamed at her to close the door, to protect whatever she was hiding from, even if she didn't understand what that was. But the dreams had been getting stronger, more insistent, and the tattoo had changed again. The lines had rearranged into a pattern that looked almost like coordinates. 5 minutes, she agreed. They sat at her small kitchen table while Cale spread out maps and printouts and tablets, his movements quick and precise. Maya hung back, camera ready but not intrusive. After I met you, Cale began, I cross-referenced your tattoo pattern with every piece of data I've collected over the past decade. Temperature readings, current flows, sonar mapping, even local folklore. Everything points to the same location. He tapped a spot on the nautical chart. Here, 17 miles offshore, where the shelf drops into the trench. What's there? Anya asked, despite herself. I don't know. The sonar readings are strange. There's something massive down there, but it doesn't read like rock or geological formation. It's too symmetrical, too regular. And there's an energy signature. Low-level electromagnetic pulses that cycle with the tides. He pulled up a spectrograph on his tablet, showing rhythmic spikes of activity. Anya stared at it, and her shoulder began to itch, then burn. She pressed her hand against it, and when she pulled away, her palm was warm. The tattoo, Maya said softly. It's glowing. Anya looked down. The lines on her shoulder were emitting a faint pale blue light, pulsing in rhythm with the spikes on Cale's screen. What the hell? Anya stood abruptly, backing away from the table. Cale was staring at her with an expression of absolute wonder. You're connected to it. Somehow you're physically linked to whatever's down there. This isn't possible. I've learned to stop saying that. Kyle stood slowly, hands visible, non-threatening. Anya, I found something else. 3 days ago, I did a preliminary dive near the coordinates. I couldn't go deep, don't have the equipment for it, but I got far enough to see structures, ruins, and at the edge of visibility, something that looked like a door or gateway, sealed with a symbol that matches the center of your tattoo. He showed her a photograph, blurry from depth and distance, but unmistakable. A massive stone archway covered in geometric patterns, and at its center, a spiral that mirrored the design on her shoulder. "I need to go back," Kale said. "I need to go deeper. I've secured funding. Well, Maya's trust fund secured funding for a proper deep-sea exploration. ROV equipment, professional divers, the works. We launch in 2 days. Why are you telling me this?" "Because I think you should come with us," Kale said. "I think whatever's down there, it's connected to you, to your past. Maybe you'll remember something. Maybe I'll lead you to your lost city," Anya interrupted bitterly. "That's what this is about. I'm not a person to you. I'm a research specimen. A key to unlock your obsession. That's not—" Kale stopped, ran a hand through his hair. "Okay, maybe at first, yes. I saw you as a mystery to solve, a piece of the puzzle. But these past few days, researching, thinking about you, I keep wondering what it must be like, to not know who you are, where you came from, to have lost everything, and not even know what you've lost." His voice softened. "I know what it's like to be consumed by something you can't explain, to let it cost you everything. If there's any chance that going down there could give you answers, I'm afraid," Anya whispered. "I have these dreams, of drowning, of being dragged under by something vast and dark. What if I remember, and it's worse than not knowing?" Maya spoke for the first time since entering. "My grandmother had Alzheimer's. At the end, she didn't remember any of us. And I used to wonder, was it better that way? Not knowing what she'd lost? But then I thought about all the things she couldn't experience because she'd forgotten how. Love, joy, even sadness. You need memory for all of it. Without the past, you're only half alive." Anya looked at her paintings covering the walls, all those obsessive renderings of water and light. Maya was right. She'd been half alive for 5 years, going through motions, painting the same mystery over and over without understanding it. "If I come," she said slowly, "I'm not a specimen. I'm a partner. You share everything you find with me, not just the parts you think I should see." Kale nodded immediately. "Agreed. And if I say stop, we stop, no matter what." "Of course." Anya took a deep breath. "Then I'll come." 2 days later, Anya stood on the deck of the Narwhal, a 40-foot research vessel that had seen better decades. The crew consisted of Kyle, Maya, and a grizzled captain named Torres, who asked no questions as long as the money was good. The sea was calm, almost unnaturally so. As they motored away from shore, Anya felt something loosen in her chest, a tension she'd been carrying for 5 years without realizing it. The farther from land they went, the more right she felt. "You look different," Maya observed, coming to stand beside her at the rail. "More relaxed. I feel like I'm going toward something instead of running away," Anya admitted. They reached the coordinates by noon. Kale had already suited up in diving gear, triple-checking his equipment with the methodical precision of someone who'd done this 1,000 times. "The ROV goes first," he explained, referring to the remotely operated vehicle they'd brought. "We map, we record, we assess safety. Then I go down with cameras and collection tools. The plan is to document everything, maybe retrieve small artifacts. Nothing dramatic." "You're a terrible liar," Maya said affectionately. "You're hoping to find the lost library of Alexandria down there." Kyle grinned, boyish and unguarded. "The lost library would be in Egypt. I'm hoping for something even better." They launched the ROV, and everyone crowded around the monitor as it descended. 50 feet, 100, 200. The water darkened from blue to black, and the ROV's lights carved a small sphere of visibility in the vast darkness. At 400 feet, the ruins appeared. Even through the grainy feed, they were breathtaking. Massive structures that had to be buildings, their architecture unlike anything from known civilizations. Graceful arches and spiraling towers, all covered in bioluminescent algae that made them glow with soft, shifting light. Fish darted between columns. An eel the size of Anya's arm undulated past the camera. "My God," Torres breathed. "It's real. It's actually real." The ROV navigated through what might have been a plaza or courtyard. At its center stood the structure from Kale's photograph, the sealed gateway. The ROV's light swept across it, and Anya gasped. The symbol at its center was glowing, the same pale blue as her tattoo. It's responding, Kale said, his voice shaking. The structure is active. After thousands of years, it's still active, and it's responding to, he looked at Anya, to you. You're here, nearby, and it knows. That's impossible, Torres said. How could it detect her from up here? Anya's shoulder was burning now, the tattoo blazing beneath her shirt. She pulled the fabric aside, and everyone stared at the luminous pattern writhing across her skin. I'm going down, Kale announced abruptly. Now, before we lose this opportunity. That's insane, Torres protested. We haven't done safety checks, haven't verified the structural integrity. I'm going. Kyle was already heading for the dive platform. I'll be careful. 15 minutes, in and out. Maya, keep the ROV on me. Anya found herself following him. I'm coming with you. You're not certified for technical diving. I don't think I need to be. Kyle stared at her. What does that mean? I don't know. But look at me. She held out her glowing arm. Whatever I am, I don't think drowning is something I need to worry about. It was insane. It went against every safety protocol. But Kale had that look of obsession again, and Anya felt pulled toward the water with an inevitability that felt like fate. If you start to struggle at all, Kale said finally, I'm bringing you up. No arguments. They compromised on a basic wetsuit and weight belt for Anya, along with a safety line attached to the boat. Kale went through his pre-dive checklist with shaking hands, and then they were in the water, descending into blue that quickly became black. Anya had expected panic, the drowning dreams made real. Instead, she felt relief. The water welcomed her like an embrace. She didn't fight it, didn't struggle. She moved through it as though she'd been born to it. Kyle kept looking back at her through his mask, checking, but she gave him a thumbs up each time. Down they went, following the ROV's lights, until the ruins rose around them like a submerged cathedral. It was even more magnificent up close. The architecture seemed to defy physics, stone flowing into organic curves, embedded with crystals that pulsed with bioluminescence. Schools of fish moved through empty windows like living curtains. The gateway stood before them, 30 feet tall, its surface covered in the same script as Anya's tattoo. The central spiral glowed brighter as they approached. Kyle pulled out a camera, documenting frantically. Then he swam closer, reaching out toward the gateway's surface. He touched it. The ocean exploded. Light erupted from the gateway, blinding and blue-white. A shockwave of energy blasted outward, sending Kyle tumbling. Anya felt it hit her like a physical blow. But instead of pain, it was recognition. Memory. Truth. Images flooded her mind. A council chamber. Voices arguing. She must marry the Northern Prince. The alliance is essential. Her own voice. Younger. Defiant. I won't be sold like property. An escape through dark waters. A spell of forgetting, cast by her own hand. Better to lose myself than live as someone else's possession. She remembered her name. Her real name. Anyalith of the bloodline of tides, crown princess of the deep kingdom. The energy continued to surge, and Anya felt her body responding. Her legs, her human legs that she'd had for 5 years, began to burn. The flesh rippled, twisted. She screamed, bubbles erupting from her mouth, but no water entered her lungs because she didn't need air. She'd never needed air. She was born of the ocean. Her legs fused together, skin hardening into scales that shimmered like mother of pearl. A tail formed, powerful and graceful, the flukes spreading like wings. The transformation was agony and ecstasy, tearing away 5 years of human flesh to reveal what she'd always been beneath. Through the surge of light and power, she saw Kale. He was staring at her, his eyes wide behind his mask, as her tail caught the light from the gateway and threw it back in 1,000 prismatic shards. Then his hand began to glow. The palm that had touched the gateway was burning with the same light. As Anya watched in horror, the skin split, not bleeding, but opening like a flower, and scales erupted across his palm. Black scales, edged in silver, forming an inverse pattern to her own shimmer. Kale tore off his mask to scream. The sound came out muffled and bubbled, but she heard it echo through the water. Denial, terror, agony. The light from the gateway pulsed once more, and then words formed in Anya's mind. Not heard, but known, ancient and absolute. Consort marked, bond sealed. Protector to the crown. No, Anya whispered, but the ocean had already decided. The light faded. The gateway went dark, and Kale, running out of air, began to sink. Anya moved without thinking, her new tail propelling her forward with shocking speed. She grabbed him, felt the scales on his palm burn against her skin, a bond recognizing itself. Then she was swimming upward, faster than should be possible, dragging him toward the distant shimmer of sunlight. They broke the surface beside the boat. Torres and Maya were already there, hauling Kyle aboard. He collapsed on the deck, coughing water, gasping. Anya clung to the side of the boat, her tail still visible beneath the waves. Maya stared at her, camera forgotten. "Help me up," Anya said. "Please." They pulled her aboard, and she lay on the deck, her tail slowly, painfully, splitting back into legs. The transformation reversed, but she knew it was temporary now. She knew what she was, who she was. Kale was sitting up, staring at his palm. The scales had sunk beneath the skin, but the pattern remained, black and silver against his flesh, pulsing with a faint heartbeat. "What did you do?" he whispered, looking at her. "What did you do to me?" "I didn't do anything," Anya said, her voice raw. "You touched the gateway. You activated the protocol." "What protocol?" "The consort bond." She sat up, drawing her newly reformed legs to her chest. "It's an ancient magic designed to protect the royal line. When a ruler awakens, if someone touches the royal seal, the ocean marks them as the consort, the sworn protector. I don't want to be anyone's protector." Kale's voice rose, panicked. "I just wanted to prove they existed, to vindicate my research. I didn't want this." "Neither did I." Anya looked at her own hands, at the faint shimmer of scales that would never fully disappear now. "I gave up everything to avoid this exact fate, being tied to someone not by choice, but by obligation. And now the ocean has bound you to me anyway. Can we break it? I don't know. I don't remember everything yet. But," she met his eyes, "I think we're stuck with each other, Professor Winters." Kale looked at his marked palm, then at her, then at the endless ocean surrounding them. This isn't how scientific discovery is supposed to work. Despite everything, Anya laughed, a sound brittle and slightly hysterical. "Welcome to magic. It doesn't care about your protocols." The tattoo on her shoulder had stopped glowing, but it had changed again. The pattern now included a new element, a handprint in inverse scales, a mirror of the mark on Kale's palm. They were bound, and somewhere beneath the waves, the kingdom she'd fled was waking to the news that their lost princess had returned. They made it back to Greymore in silence. Torres steered the boat with the grim focus of a man pretending he hadn't seen what he'd seen. Maya sat with her camera, reviewing footage she couldn't possibly share with anyone who'd believe it. Kale stood at the bow, staring at his marked palm as if he could will it back to normal skin. Anya sat at the stern, watching the water. She could feel it now. Every current, every shift in temperature, every creature moving beneath the surface. The ocean sang to her in a language she'd forgotten she knew, and beneath that song, something else. A drumbeat, a summons. They were coming. "We need to talk," she said when they finally docked. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of blood and gold. They gathered in Anya's cottage, Kyle, Maya, and Torres, who insisted on staying despite Anya's protests that he should forget everything he'd seen. "Too late for that, miss," he'd said gruffly. "Besides, I've fished these waters for 40 years. Always knew there was something down there. Nice to finally be proven right." Anya made tea because it was something normal to do, something human. Her hands shook as she poured. "My full name is Anyalith of the Bloodline of Tides," she began, standing by the window with the mug warming her hands. "Crown Princess of the Deep Kingdom. 5 years ago, I fled my home to escape an arranged marriage, a political alliance to the Northern Prince, a man I'd never met but was expected to marry for the good of the realm. You ran away from an underwater kingdom," Kale said flatly. "And no one came after you?" "I used magic, a spell of forgetting, cast on myself. It severed my connection to the ocean, transformed my tail to legs, and erased my memories. The theory was that if I didn't know who I was, they couldn't track me. If I truly believed I was human, I'd become functionally invisible to mermagic." "Did it work?" Maya asked. "For 5 years. Anya's hand went to her shoulder. "But the spell was always temporary. It was designed to fade eventually. I just didn't remember that part. And when Cale touched the gateway, it shattered what remained of the binding. Now they know exactly where I am. As if on cue, a sound echoed across the water. A horn, low and resonant, that made the windows rattle. Everyone rushed to look out. The sea was boiling. Figures emerged from the waves. Dozens of them, merfolk with tails that gleamed in the dying light. They moved with inhuman grace, some swimming, others seeming to walk on the surface tension itself. At their head was a man, or mer, who wore authority like a second skin. His tail was deep blue, scaled with silver, and a crown of coral and pearl sat on his brow. "That's Lord Caspian," Anya whispered, "High Counselor to the throne. My father's right hand." "Your father's dead?" Cale asked. "I don't know. I don't remember." The admission hurt more than she'd expected. The merfolk stopped at the edge of the breakwater, close enough to be seen but not close enough to threaten. Lord Caspian raised his hand, and his voice carried across the water with unnatural clarity, magic amplifying it so the whole town could hear. "Anuleth of the Tides, your presence is required before the council. Your exile has ended. Your duty awaits. Don't go," Kyle said immediately. "You ran away for a reason. If I don't, they'll escalate." Anya set down her mug. "That's how it works. First the polite summons, then the threats, then they make good on those threats. This town, these people, they're not part of this. I won't let them suffer because of me." "What do they want?" Maya asked. "The same thing they wanted 5 years ago, for me to fulfill my duty to the crown." Anya's voice was bitter. "To marry for politics, to bear heirs, to be a good little princess who doesn't ask questions or make waves." "You're being literal about the waves thing," Torres muttered. Despite everything, Anya smiled. Then she took a breath, opened the window, and called back. "I'll come at dawn. Alone. I want safe passage and a guarantee of negotiation." Lord Caspian's expression didn't change. "The council will hear you. Come to the deep market at first light. If you fail to appear, we will consider it an act of continued rebellion." "Understood." The merfolk sank back beneath the waves, disappearing as quickly as they'd come. But Anya could still feel them out there, surrounding the town in a loose perimeter. Watching. Waiting. "You can't seriously be considering this," Cale said. "I don't have a choice. There's always a choice." His marked palm was clenched into a fist. "You said the ocean bound me to you as your protector. Fine. Let me protect you. We'll figure something out. You're a human who's been marked for less than 6 hours." Anya interrupted gently. "You don't know what you're offering. Then teach me." Cale's voice was fierce. "I spent my entire career searching for proof that your world existed. I destroyed my reputation, my marriage, everything I had. And now that I've found it, now that I've accidentally bound myself to it, you expect me to just stay behind?" "He's right," Maya said quietly. "The mark on his hand. It's not just a symbol, is it? There's magic in it. Connection. If he's truly bound to you as consort, then maybe that gives him authority too." Anya looked at Cale. Really looked at him. The obsessed scientist who'd found more than he bargained for, who'd touched something ancient and powerful and was still standing despite the terror she could see in his eyes. "If you come with me," she said slowly, "everything changes. The council will see you as either a weakness to exploit or a threat to eliminate. The mark protects you to some degree. Killing a consort is forbidden by ancient law, but they'll find other ways to control you, threaten you, use you against me. Let them try." Cale met her gaze steadily. "I'm good at being stubborn. Ask my ex-wife. Ask every academic committee that told me to give up on this research. I don't quit. This isn't research, Cale. This is politics. Power. Ancient grudges and alliances that go back centuries. Then you'll need someone who sees it from the outside. Someone who asks the stupid questions because they don't know better." He held up his marked palm. "Besides, apparently the ocean thinks we're a package deal now. Who am I to argue with primordial magic?" Anya felt something loosen in her chest. The tight knot of isolation that had lived there for 5 years. "You're insane." "Objectively, yes." Cale smiled, and it was the first real smile she'd seen from him since the marking. "So, what's our plan?" They spent the night preparing. Torres contributed knowledge of merfolk sightings over the years, patterns of appearance, stories his grandfather had told about the deep market. a mythical trading post where humans and merfolk had once conducted business before the separation of worlds. Maya researched everything she could find about underwater kingdoms in mythology, looking for loopholes, precedents, anything useful. Kale sat with Anya, and she taught him what she could remember about mere culture, about court protocol, about the way power flowed through the council. The memories came in fragments, still incomplete, but enough to paint a picture of what they'd face. The arranged marriage, Kyle said at one point. The Northern Prince. What was his name? Theron. The name tasted like ash in Anya's mouth. Theron of the Midnight Depths. Our kingdoms have been rivals for generations, sometimes allies, sometimes enemies. The marriage was meant to unite us permanently, create a dynasty that would dominate all the Mir realms. Did you ever meet him? Once, at a treaty signing when I was 16. She closed her eyes, remembering. He was not cruel, not kind, just intensely political. Everything he said was calculated, every gesture measured. He looked at me like I was a chess piece he was planning to acquire. Sounds delightful. The council argued that love wasn't necessary for a successful political marriage. They were probably right, but I couldn't. Her voice cracked. I couldn't spend my life as someone's strategic asset. Cal was quiet for a moment. Then, for what it's worth, I understand. My marriage ended because I was more obsessed with underwater ruins than I was with my actual partner. I made her feel like an afterthought in my own life. I won't. He stopped, seemed to reconsider. If this consort bond means anything, I want it to mean that you have a choice, that you're not alone in whatever comes next. That's the thing about magical bonds, Anya said softly. They don't care about choice. They just are. Then we'll make them mean what we want them to mean. Kale held up his marked palm. Magic or not, I'm choosing this. Choosing to stand with you. That has to count for something. At dawn, Anya and Kale walked into the sea. The transformation came easier this time. Anya's legs melted into her tail, with a burning sensation that was almost familiar now. Kale gasped as the mark on his palm began to glow, and suddenly he was breathing underwater, not with gills, but through the magic that now flowed through him. This is impossible, he said, his voice carrying perfectly through the water. Get used to that phrase, Anya replied. The deep market appeared as they descended, a vast cavern carved into an underwater cliff face, its entrance marked by pillars of living coral that pulsed with bioluminescence. Merfolk moved through the space, some trading goods, others clearly waiting for something. Waiting for her. Lord Caspian met them at the entrance, his expression unreadable. Princess Anyalith, you honor us with your return. His eyes slid to Kale. And you bring a human. How unexpected. He's not just a human, Anya said, pulling Kyle forward and displaying his marked palm. The ocean has named him consort. The effect was immediate. Every mere person in the vicinity stopped and stared. Whispers rippled through the crowd like current. Lord Caspian's eyes widened fractionally, the most emotion Anya had ever seen from him. The old magic. I hadn't believed it still functioned. Believe it, Kale said, his voice steadier than Anya expected. I'm here as Anya's, as Princess Anyalith's sworn protector and representative. Representatives do not speak in council. Lord Caspian's tone was ice. But consorts do. Very well. The council will see you both. They were led deeper into the cavern, through passages that grew progressively more magnificent. Finally, they emerged into a vast chamber, the throne room of the Deep Kingdom. It was breathtaking. The walls were mother of pearl that shifted with every current, reflecting light in rainbow patterns. Bioluminescent creatures hung from the ceiling like chandeliers, and at the far end, on a throne of black coral, sat a figure Anya recognized with a shock that stole her breath, her father, King Aldrich of the Tides, older, grayer, but unmistakably alive. Father, she whispered, his eyes, the same silver blue as her own, filled with something that might have been tears. Daughter, you came back. I didn't know you were alive. I thought, when I fled, I was ill, the sleeping sickness. His voice was rougher than she remembered. I recovered, but not before you'd gone. We searched for you for months before the council ordered me to stop, to focus on the kingdom. The council sat in a semicircle around the throne. 7 merfolk of various ages and colorations. all wearing expressions that ranged from disapproving to hostile. And standing beside the throne, wearing a crown of ice-blue coral, was a merman with a tail of midnight black and eyes like bottomless trenches. Prince Theron. "Anuleth," he said, and his voice was exactly as she remembered. Smooth, controlled, empty of genuine warmth. 5 years. You've been missed. "I doubt that," Anya said coldly. "The betrothal still stands," one of the council members said. "Lady Maris," Anya remembered. "Your absence has delayed but not cancelled our alliance with the Northern Depths. Prince Theron has been remarkably patient." "Patient," Theron agreed, swimming forward. "And curious. I wondered what would finally bring you back. Duty? Guilt? Or—" His eyes slid to Cale. "The discovery of your hidden toy?" "He's not a toy." Anya moved to place herself between Theron and Cale. "He's my consort, marked by the ocean itself." "So I see." Theron examined Kyle with the clinical interest of someone studying an insect. "Tell me, human, do you understand what you've stumbled into? The consort bond is death-bound. If she dies, you die. If you die, she dies," Kyle finished. "I'm aware. Still here. Brave or stupid? Both, usually," Kyle said cheerfully, though Anya could feel tension thrumming through him. "The bond complicates matters," King Aldrich said, and there was genuine concern in his voice. "Anuleth, the alliance with the Northern Depths is crucial. The surface world is changing. Pollution, warming seas, noise that drives the whale songs mad. We need unity among the Myr realms to survive. Your marriage to Prince Theron represents that unity. Then Prince Theron can marry someone else," Anya said. "I won't be sold into political servitude." "You're crown princess," Lady Maris snapped. "Your desires are secondary to the needs of the kingdom." "Are they?" Anya looked around the chamber, at the assembled council, at her father on his throne. "Because I seem to remember the old laws. A consort chosen by the ocean holds authority equal to any political betrothal. The magic itself has spoken. Kyle is bound to me, and I to him. By ancient right, that supersedes any contract made by this council." Silence. Even Lord Caspian looked uncertain. "She's correct," Theron said, surprising everyone. "The old magic does take precedence over political arrangements. It was written into the founding laws specifically to prevent councils from overriding the ocean's will." He looked at Anya with something that might have been respect. "Well played, princess. Did you plan this?" "No," Anya admitted, "but I'm not above using it." "Then we have an impasse," King Aldrich said heavily. "The kingdom needs the alliance, but the magic forbids us from forcing your marriage while you're consort bound. There is another option." All eyes turned to Cale, who looked faintly surprised to find himself speaking. "I'm an oceanographer. I've spent years studying the impact of human activity on marine ecosystems. I've documented pollution patterns, tracked warming currents, mapped noise pollution from shipping lanes and sonar. Everything you need to make a case to surface governments for protection of these waters. Humans don't listen to their own scientists," Lady Maris said scornfully. "Why would they listen to merfolk?" "Because they don't have to know they're listening to merfolk." Cale was gaining confidence now, slipping into lecture mode. "Anya and I could be your representatives to the surface world. A human scientist and his partner." He glanced at Anya. "We publish research. We lobby governments. We create protected marine zones. We build the unity you need, not through marriage alliance, but through practical protection of all Myr realms." "Preposterous," Lady Maris said. But King Aldrich was listening. "Go on." "The Deep Kingdom establishes diplomatic relations with the surface, secret ones, filtered through us as intermediaries. In exchange for protection of your waters, you provide knowledge. You've lived here for millennia. You know things about ocean health, about ecosystems, about climate patterns that human science is only beginning to understand. That knowledge could change everything." "And what do you get?" Prince Theron asked, his eyes sharp. Cale looked at Anya. "I get to keep the most extraordinary discovery of my career, and I get to actually help, instead of just studying. It's an interesting proposal," King Aldrich said slowly, "but it doesn't solve the fundamental problem. The Northern Depths still expect the alliance. Then give them a different alliance." Anya swam forward, addressing the council directly. "I'll take my throne. I'll be the queen you need me to be. but on my terms, with my consort, with my vision for how the kingdom moves forward, and I'll negotiate a new treaty with Prince Theron, one based on mutual benefit rather than my reproductive capacity. Theron laughed, a genuine sound of amusement. You've grown teeth in exile, Princess. I approve. He looked at the council. I'll accept the renegotiation. My kingdom needs allies, not resentful wives. If Princess Anyalith can forge a better alliance than our marriage would have provided, I'm willing to discuss alternatives. The council erupted in arguments. Some supported the new proposal, others called it blasphemy. But through it all, King Aldrich was quiet, watching his daughter with something like pride. Finally, he raised his hand for silence. I will allow it, he said. Anyalith, you will ascend to your throne, with your consort. You will have 1 year to prove that your new approach can provide the security our kingdom needs. If you succeed, the betrothal is dissolved permanently. If you fail, we won't fail, Anya said. Bold words. Her father smiled sadly. You have your mother's stubborn hope. Very well. The council is dismissed. Anyalith, stay. We have much to discuss. As the chamber emptied, Kyle leaned close to Anya. Did we just accidentally revolutionize merfolk human relations? I think we did, Anya murmured. How do you feel about being a diplomat? Terrified. Excited. Mostly terrified. He looked at his marked palm, then at her. But I'm in this now. Literally bound to it. So I guess we figure it out together. Together, Anya agreed. And for the first time in 5 years, that word didn't sound like a prison sentence. It sounded like a choice. 6 months later, the fishing town of Greymore had transformed. The waters were cleaner, the fish more plentiful, and a new research station stood on the old breakwater. Officially a marine conservation center. Unofficially the surface embassy for a kingdom most humans didn't believe existed. Anya stood in her studio, expanded now, with large windows overlooking the sea. She was painting again, but the obsessive quality was gone. Now she painted with purpose, with memory, with joy. Behind her, Kyle worked at a desk covered in papers and tablets, preparing their next presentation to the UN Commission on Ocean Conservation. His marked palm rested on the desk, the scales catching the light. He'd learned to transform it when needed. A small magic, but his own. The Northern Depths confirmed the treaty this morning, he said, looking up. Prince Theron sends his regards and a gift, some kind of pearl that allegedly improves human mirror translation. I'm not sure if he's being generous or trolling us. Both, Anya said. Theron's always multitasking. A knock at the door. Maya entered, camera in hand. Ready for the documentary shoot? National Geographic wants the segment on tide pool restoration. Give us 5 minutes, Anya said. When Maya left, Kale came to stand beside Anya at the window. Far below, merfolk swam in the protected waters, no longer hiding. Not visible to everyone, there were still illusions, still secrecy, but more free than they'd been in centuries. Do you ever regret it? Kyle asked. Giving up your anonymity, taking the throne. Anya reached out, lacing her fingers through his. The scales on his palm matched the shimmer on her hand perfectly. 2 halves of a bond neither had chosen, but both had claimed. I regret running away, she said. I regret losing 5 years. But this? She gestured at the view, the town, the future they were building. This is better than anything I could have imagined. We're creating something new, something chosen. No arranged marriages? No arranged anything. She smiled. Just 2 people bound by accident, making the best of impossible circumstances. That's one way to describe falling in love with a mermaid princess, Kale said. Anya turned to him, surprised. Love? Is that not obvious? He gestured at his marked palm, at the research station, at the life they'd built. I rearranged my entire existence for you. I learned to breathe underwater. I negotiate with underwater royalty. If that's not love, I don't know what is. That could just be the bond. The bond is magic, Kale interrupted gently. But how we respond to it, that's choice. And I choose you. Every day. Magic or not. Anya felt tears prick her eyes. Happy ones this time. I choose you too, she whispered. My accidental consort. My impossible partner. They kissed as the sun set over Greymore, turning the water to gold. And deep below, The ocean pulsed with ancient approval, satisfied that for once, its chosen ones had chosen wisely. The tide chart on Anya's shoulder shifted one final time, settling into a permanent pattern, a queen's crown intertwined with a scholar's compass, past and future, magic and science, choice and destiny, balanced at last. The end.